Hi, I'm Jennifer Brunner. I'm Ohio Secretary of State, and I'm here today to talk to you about a report that our office is releasing about the testing of the voting machines used in Ohio. We think this report will have implications not just for the state of Ohio, but for many other states who utilize the same types of voting machines. The purpose of our report was to gather information and to understand the properties of these voting machines, to know whether or not, very simply, they accurately count the votes, whether the system is secure from tampering, whether they work as intended, and what we need to know as election officials in Ohio and elsewhere in operating these machines so that we can ensure that they do all the things that they're supposed to do. I'd like to give you some examples of some of the problems we found with the machines. For instance, there are difficulties oftentimes with the software and the memory, often rendering the software unstable, resulting in servers crashing election night as votes are trying to be counted. There's always the threat of losing the votes in a software server crash. In addition, the memory cards have limited memory, and unless specific instructions and training are provided to election officials, there are no safeguards built into the way that the operation of the system is designed, so that, for instance, if a memory card gets too full, votes won't be erased starting at the beginning of the sequence of votes on the card. In addition, as the machines are calibrated, if they're not calibrated precisely, they can result in difficulties where if a person doesn't press exactly in the right spot, there's a switching of votes in an election. We know very simply that it's one person, one vote, and that in a democracy, the way that we speak, the way that we govern in a form of self-governance is that we vote, and each person's vote counts and it matters. My job as Secretary of State is to make sure that the equipment that we use does what we intend for it to do, and that it actually gives us a true reflection of what our people say about who their leaders are and what the issues are that their government deals with. The structure of the study was a very comprehensive, objective, balanced, and independent structure. We constructed a model of parallel independent testing, especially when it came to testing the security of the voting machines. We involved corporate scientists and we involved academic scientists. We tasked each of them with the goal of looking at the system and seeing if it was able to be penetrated, if it was able to be tampered with, so that we would know that our votes were secure. Unfortunately, both the corporate scientists and the academic scientists found that our system is not secure and that there is cause for great concern. And so the goal of the recommendations that we've made to the legislature has been to isolate the machines from as many risks as possible. If you think about a voting system, the people who have access to that system are the voters, the poll workers, the workers at the boards of elections, even Secretary of State employees, the vendors for the voting machine companies, and their contractors who often come in, especially in the less populated areas where there aren't very well staffed boards of elections, and perform many election functions for the board on election day. In looking at the risks that are there, our goal is to minimize the risks. We can't eliminate all risks, but to put the machines in a place where they will be safe, secure, worked with by Board of Election officials who we will take the responsibility to well train, and allow the voters then to have the peace of mind that they can still vote easily, but that their votes will be counted in a secure fashion and that they can trust the results. Now, what are we doing as far as how we're implementing these recommendations? We're taking these recommendations to the Ohio legislature and to the governor, and we're suggesting that Ohio move to a central count optical scan voting system. What this means is paper ballots that are completed either by a pen or a pencil by a voter at a polling place, or using a ballot marking device such as an automark machine that would allow voters with disabilities who need assistance the ability to take a ballot, insert it into the machine, mark it with a touch screen, have the ballot ejected from the machine, and they would place it into the ballot box like any other voter. We believe that this can be accomplished through a vast change in our election system in Ohio that would entail the use of early voting starting 15 days before the election at vote centers of the size of 5 to 10 precincts all over the state of Ohio. We're proposing that these vote centers would be open from 7 in the morning until 7 at night, 6 days a week, and on Sundays from 12 to 7. And on the days that they're open 12 hours, they would be staffed by 2 shifts of poll workers with an hour overlap at the noon hour. This would also occur on election day in a vote center setting, and we would allow for a midday pickup of the ballots so that the counting could occur in a timely fashion and that we would still have our results out for the public and for the media in a timely fashion. We believe that these types of changes would improve the quality of our elections and increase the integrity of our elections in Ohio. And we believe that it would also bring Ohio into the 21st century, where we are making voting more accessible to people on more than just one day, and in locations that would be accessible for people with disabilities and also with plenty of parking. Voting is not a spectator sport. Voting requires participation, and that's what we want to do here in Ohio. But until we know that people can trust our voting systems, and this is the first step with our report and our testing, we know that people won't participate if they don't trust the system. When I became Secretary of State of Ohio, the very first goal I set forth with my staff and I set out to the public was that I want to restore and ensure trust in Ohio elections. I am simply telling you a story with this report, and we're giving you recommendations based upon the reality that we have found from the research of some of the best scientists we have in the United States. And it is my goal then to take this story and to work in a bipartisan fashion with the Ohio legislature and the governor of our state so that we can turn around elections in Ohio and not only ensure the people of our state but the people of our country that Ohio elections are elections that can be trusted. Thank you very much.